Hello, my name is Jay Thibodeau. I'm a professor of financial statement auditing at Bentley University, and I'm also a co-author on the Lowers text. I'm here today to talk about the approach that we've taken in the 8th edition to try to help your students become the very best audit professionals they can be and also pass the auditing section of the CPA exam. How do we do it? By focusing on the relevant financial statement assertions right away. In fact, in chapter 1, we give a great overview of the financial statement assertions, and then we carry that through each of the cycle chapters. For example, in chapter 4, which is the risk assessment chapter, we make sure the students understand that in practice, audit professionals are specifically required to assess risk at the financial statement assertion level. Now, I've taught for KPMG for the last 10 years. Prior to that, taught PwC, and this is definitely the approach that's taken in practice today. So let me show you some of the detail that we give to help you, the professor, impart this knowledge to your students. I'm going to share the screen here. I'm going to go right to chapter 4. And you'll note in chapter 4, which is the risk assessment chapter, we really do focus on risk at the assertion level, how we use the what can go wrong approach. So let's take accounts receivable, for example. Here are 3 common relevant assertions for accounts receivable, and the students can see what can go wrong for each of these relevant assertions. The what can go wrong is a great way I've found to teach the student about risk at the relevant assertion level. Matter of fact, we have a PowerPoint deck, of course, for chapter 4, and exhibit 4.11 is a slide in that deck. I will literally call that slide up and we talk about this slide for a long time. I'll actually use it to generate conversation about other significant accounts and other assertions so the students can actually generate the what can go wrongs for multiple assertions. Again, trying to reinforce this notion of focusing on the relevant assertion and what is the risk of material misstatement at the assertion level. We then move into chapter 5 with the book, right? And that's the internal control chapter. And they learn in the internal control chapter that for each of these what can go wrongs, they really need to identify an internal control activity that would mitigate the risk of that material misstatement. And look at what we culminate that understanding with an extension of the exhibit that we introduced in chapter 4. In exhibit 5.17, you'll note we have the exact same account, the same relevant assertions, the same what can go wrong. We've just added the internal control activity that, if put in place, would mitigate this risk of material misstatement, otherwise known as the what can go wrong. Again, this is a great topic for classroom conversation. It's an extension of what they just learned in chapter 4. We then carry forward this example into the cycle chapters. Chapter 7 happens to be the cycle chapter for accounts receivable. Chapter 6 would be cash, if you want to do cash. But for now, I'm just going to skip forward to chapter 7. And what are you going to see in chapter 7? You're going to see this exact same table, but with some additional columns. So again, we have the significant accounts, the relevant assertions, the what can go wrong, the internal control activity, but we now show them the test of controls, possible substantive analytics, possible substantive tested details that would occur for each of these relevant assertions. Remember the accounts receivable existence, so the students can actually see the complete amount of testing that needs to be done at the relevant assertion level. Again, let me stress, this is exactly what's happening in practice. So your students are going to go into practice, work as an audit professional, and they're going to know exactly what they're up against as a professional. Of course, it also helps in the CPA exam as well. So again, I'd be happy to talk further about this approach. If you have any questions, just get in touch with me. And I'm always interested in talking about audit education. So thank you very much and have a great day.